I'm Christina Tehel Amelong. Every week in our weekly service at One Love, One Communion, Many Paths, One Mountain, I have the honor and opportunity to study the first principles of reality as they have been articulated by Dr. Marc Gafni and Barbara Marx Hubbard. Those two have worked together for over 100 collective years to articulate the story of the new human and the new humanity based on these first principles. The first principles constitute what they have called a universal grammar of meaning, or the new story, or a global ethos for a global civilization. Every week, guided by grace, Dr. Marc articulates the principles in precise formulations, and every week I recapitulate pivotal sections of the first principles in direct quotes from the prior week's articulation of Many Paths, One Mountain. I spend hours picking the exact string of direct quotes from their articulation and weaving them together, a string of sentences that I hope will activate in you a heart inflamed and committed to changing the world with outrageous love. Here goes the recapitulation. On the revolutionary need for evolutionary church. In this time between stories, as we begin to be the powers we used to attribute to gods, we choose to be radical evolutionaries of outrageous love. We choose to articulate the new universe story, and we choose to nurture the deeper union of humans and the divine. We need to be revolutionaries in this time between stories, to turn to each other and say, I need you. I need your help. How are we to change the world without evolutionary partners? We are pioneering souls. We are motivated by pleasure, and we discover not only are human beings motivated by pleasure, but that reality itself is driven by pleasure, joy, and beauty. We discover that reality is an evolution of value and that life has self-evident meaning. And we find ourselves trembling before evolution, quivering before divinity, breathing in the whole story of creation. We find that reality has self-evident meaning, that we are keeping biblical promises, that we are growing into wise men and wise women with ever greater beauty and ever greater love, carrying the genius of all that came before us together. Reality does have self-evident value when you're participating in a genuine value of reality. Means and ends collapse into one. The path is the destination. We discover our skin is full of billions of nerve endings and the evolutionary impulse that lives in us in person, turning to the entire story of evolution. William Blake understood when he said, eternity is in love with the productions of time. The infinite is intimate. The evolution of intimacy is sourced in the infinite. Evolution is the evolution of intimacy. Yet there's global crisis, paralysis, a failure of global coherence, and we desire to emerge global coherence through a shared story, a shared set of first principles, or what we call a global ethos for a global civilization. Our work is happening around eros and outrageous love, and it's all so precious. We're putting out a great library. We host a yearly Dharma intensive. And the Eros Project, the Outrageous Love Project, the Unique Self Institute, and the Intimacy Institute. We nurture each other. We pray, open our hearts, step into blown open practices. We return to the mind of God. From those open hearts, we dive into evolutionary love codes, find massive creativity, find that we are not okay that amongst so many other crises, the planet doesn't have clean drinking water. The evolutionary love code is sometimes a first principle, the basis of the news story, and is sometimes a first principle as it applies to COVID-19, to cancel culture, to Black Lives Matter, or to how we see the first principles, how they need to reformulate, and how we participate in the evolution of love. A person needs a home. This is our home in manifest reality. We need to be together as the leading edge of evolutionary love in order to articulate a politics of evolutionary love, a politics of pleasure. As Barbara Marx Hubbard said in last week's 200th communion, I have been missing this my whole life.